Chattanooga is a place I told somebody I would never go, and that it was ridiculous that anybody would live here. But look at me now. I'm living in Chattanooga, and I'm going to stay. A lot of unexpected things, and I'm so grateful for unexpected things. The Fellows program, also something I said I would never do. My mom was always like, Peter, you got to do a Fellows program. I was like, Christy, I love you, but no. Once again, something unexpected, and it's been such a blessing. And just thinking about how this year has impacted me and how these 9 months have really changed and grown me has kind of been a special time to reflect. A lot of my life has just kind of been go, 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 and always knew what was next, always knew the next thing, and that was usually going to volleyball practice, class, hanging out with the same friends I hung out with for 20 plus years. This time for me has been special. A lot of it's kind of been centered around identity. So these are pretty much all the photos I have of myself, so I just threw them up there because I thought might as well, nobody else ever gets to see them. So kind of on this journey of Fellows has been a lot of a journey of identity for me. This year we went on a jog, or a journey of generosity. So I was thinking it was like how journey of identity fits along. So kind of wanted to call it a joy almost. So I'm dyslexic, so JOI kind of fits for joy, so it works out in the end. And kind of defining joy in my life. Joy is a hope, knowing that all things are going to work together, but joy doesn't take out suffering, and it doesn't separate suffering from the realities of hope, and those things kind of integrate. And that's kind of been a lot of what I've worked on this year, is looking back on my story, seeing where the really hard things were and seeing where the really good things came together, and seeing God's faithfulness. And this Fellows year has kind of been a lot of that too. I came in hoping to just be somebody else. Throughout my entire childhood, I always had to work really hard to make friends and to keep friends. So thinking about moving to a new place, starting fresh, I was like, all right, I'm going to start off, be a completely different person. I was always worried about the impact I had, making people feel unloved, and I felt like I could be harsh and mean, and that kind of defined me in a lot of ways. So going to the Fellows, I was planning on just stopping any of that, but turns out you can't rework yourself in like a week. So crazy comments and things that might be taking it a little too far happened. At the beginning, it was tough because I felt like I wasn't in a space and around some people that made me feel like it was okay to be myself, and it was okay to mess up and say sorry. So the beginning of the season was kind of tough being in the Fellows program, but while my identity was being challenged in those ways, I had a lot of really cool people come alongside me, and a lot of really great opportunities to learn and grow about who I am and who the Lord's calling me to be. Through meeting with Liz, which was unseen by a lot of people, and nobody thought that was going to happen, so it was kind of fun to ask her to be my mentor. Changed my life. And through hanging out with Ian at the beginning of the Fellows program, and getting to know Paul, who I hated the first time I met him, and all of the girls, just learning how their stories and my stories integrated, and learning just about who I was, and that I can do this, and that I could be loved by people who hadn't known me for a super long time. So oftentimes you'll hear in Christian circles that you need to find your identity in Christ alone, and I couldn't agree more with that. But unfortunately, it's a heck of a lot harder to just do that. So I was always like, how is this done? And the Fellows kind of gave me words and spaces to explore that. And I found that the Lord gives things like community, vocation, civics to provide mirrors for you to reflect Him and find what aspects of Christ He has uniquely given you to give back to the kingdom. So kind of just going to go through and talk about like the 4 pillars of the Fellows program. In like the circle, I went counterclockwise, which kind of made me upset, but it made a lot more sense in my mind to do it this way. So community has always been huge for me. I was blessed from a young age to have a lot of people surround me and really good believers. My dad passed away when I was little, and community just kind of took over my entire life, which was super good and also super hard at the same time, because those people really knew me, but sometimes I was defined as the kid I was. So moving here, I was just afraid because nobody knew me Nobody had any idea of who I was, but also excited because of that same reason. So community was the reason I moved here. I had a lot of really wise, loving people tell me that this would be a good option, and I just kind of trusted that they knew me. And I had made a lot of decisions myself and said screw it to people who told me what to do, and a lot of hard things happened because of that. And this is one of those opportunities to really listen to the believers around me, which is something that the Fellows program has helped me to learn how to do. Community had really been something, again, that had just been throughout everything. I learned a lot about it, but I didn't know that I was learning about community from a young age. So when I got here, I was afraid that I was going to struggle with it. But through my childhood, I learned how to just show up. And that has been kind of, I don't know, what I've been known for in the Fellows program is showing up. And I didn't think that it could have an impact on other people, but it seems to have had that. And I was blessed that people gave me the invitation to show up. And the Fellows program has taught me that showing up and giving invitations are things that I need to carry forward, and that those things aren't necessarily easy. At the beginning, I was trying to show up to everything, and I pretty successfully did, but it was hard and I was exhausted all the time. So learning how to show up and rest at the same time has kind of been the journey I've been on. And when you show up, you're gonna have to show up to do things that you didn't want to do, and that's kind of was hard, but good to learn how to just do things that other people love to do. And when you start to do that, you start to see other people, and them inviting you into spaces and places that they love has been such a blessing, and has really changed my life down here, and given me a lot of really solid connections and community. And I couldn't be more grateful for people like Mary Elizabeth inviting me into her home and then saying come by anytime, and me taking her seriously. So then kind of moving on into faith, Gabrielle talked a lot about kind of holding things like super strong, and it's been me my entire life, just wanting to do things well. And if I didn't have the answer, I wanted to find it, and if I couldn't get it, I would find it anyway, even if it was wrong. So a lot of my life was just a posture of I need to have this, I need security, I need to know what's happening. And the Fellows kind of presented a lot of things that I thought I knew answers to, but they were like, well, have you considered this? And really kind of forced me to open my hands towards new ideas, new understandings, while staying rooted and grounded in what I believed in, what I knew. So it's been a slow process of learning how to be open-handed, learn to love other people's views and opinions on things and really step into those, and listen and posture myself to listen and learn. Because the reality is I don't need all the answers now, even though that's really hard. And these next steps and these next years of my life, it's going to be a lot of listening and learning, I hope. And I hope that I continue to try to posture myself in this way, and present myself into community with open hands. So I was having a conversation with my youth pastor about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and my whole life it's been all about doing well, knowing what the next step is. And he said, maybe God doesn't care as much about what you do, but who you are in the process. So I just really want to continue in my faith journey of not as worried about what I'm doing, but really just worried about posturing my heart to listen and learn, and to let it be impacted by God's love and the love that is shown to me by other people. Vocation, this is a wild photo. It's kind of crazy. This man kind of looks like, I don't know, toothpaste color. It's great. Vocation has been a large part of my life. From a young age, work was like king, and my mom was always like, you don't ever need to go into ministry, you can work hard, and God will bless wherever you are. And so those ideas were like presented in Fellows, but it's also been hard for me. As a little kid, I was the one who was bad at working, and I was told that all the time. So my kind of journey into vocation has been a struggle because I've always felt like I wasn't doing enough. But through working at Riggs & Associates, it's been just an amazing experience. All of those people in that photo have loved me super well and cared for me, and affirmed gifts in me and pushed me in a lot of ways that was really scary. I remember, the first 3 weeks I was like, I don't think I can do this. it was just super tough. I didn't know what was happening. They were saying all sorts of letters that didn't make any sense to me, and I went to school for 4 years to try to figure that out, and I guess I had no clue. But it's been good to just continue on and have guys walk alongside me and do push-ups with me during work. It's been fun to be the guy who wears no-show socks and really inspiring change in the workplace. So as I continue on at Riggs & Associates, just learned that these next years, it's going to be a grind. I'm doing stuff that's kind of like we talked about at the Q Ideas Conference or Think Conference, like the hidden years of stuff. I'm a lot in the background, and that's a good thing because I love the support that I can give my coworkers. And I've learned that being a part of a team and seeing the whole completion of the process of financial planning has been like a blessing to me. So I love what I do because I get to do it with other people. And good people in a good place has been what that workspace has been for me, and I couldn't be more blessed to be there. And figuring out and continuing on with them is really something I'm excited about. Civics was kind of the next and final pillar of the Fellows program, and the one that I was probably least excited about because I didn't really realize how integrated my story was into civics. I grew up in a small steel town, but it was loved by a lot of people, and very similar to Chattanooga. It was a place that Christ was at work, and you could see the gospel being worked out through how leaders were leading, and different designs of buildings and all sorts of things like that. But I just never knew how to get integrated into that. I didn't know what my purpose was, what my calling was. And through the Fellows, I kind of realized that it's a combination of my community faith and vocation. And then posturing myself to listen. Through going to the design studio and hearing Troy Rogers speak, it's all about just being open-handed and listening to your neighbors, more so than anything else. So I think that the Fellows has helped me learn how to show up, learn how to integrate my faith into all aspects of my life, to work hard and to do something that I love, and then go into my community with open hands and listen to what's being said. And see how I can serve. And I don't know what that's going to look like. And it's going to be a journey to get there. But I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to play the role I have now in working with the youth group here, in choosing to go out to eat at restaurants that are run by the people from Chattanooga, to shopping at places that were started by people in Chattanooga. So I'm just excited to see where this journey goes with civics and being involved in the city. So that kind of brings us to next steps. What's next for me? That's Paul and I, Mob, and we're going to be living together. So that'll be us pretty consistently, just goofing off, having a wild time. So leaving has been something that I'm really terrible at because I've left a lot of things, but I think leaving Beaver Falls was something that was hard for me and I didn't know what to do. And I've realized that there were a lot of aspects that I left well in because I've been able to carry my story from there into the Fellows and then carrying that story onward. And I read a lot of fantasy novels and I'm a nerd and get made fun of for it. But one of the quotes in there says, the funny thing about arriving is once you get there, you have to get going again. And it feels like I've arrived at the end of a chapter. And usually arriving, you feel like you have peace, you know what's next. But the next chapter, I don't know. I don't know what's next. I don't know what's happening. And I've got to enter into it. But I know I'm entering into it with a lot of really good people around me. I'm going to be living with Paul, which I'm super excited about. And he's going to make me eat different things other than ground turkey and carrots, which is a little frightening to me. I'm going to be working with these four goons over here, which is super exciting and super fun to just, I don't know, be in a workplace where excellence happens and where we put out a really, really good product. And I really respect all of the work we do, but we also have a lot of fun doing it. And I just couldn't be more blessed to be there. So I want to posture myself to continue to learn as I go out. Liz and I, a lot of what we talked about was seeing people and Oftentimes I saw, but I didn't let my heart be impacted by the people that I was seeing around me. So really just posturing myself with a soft heart to see people, to ask better questions, and to tell better stories. So kind of next is a hope of seeing people asking better questions, telling better stories, and being integrated in community. Thank you all for being here.